On today's show, we ask, what is so special about Jesus anyway?
Hello and welcome to TGI Monday. As you can see, we're in a different place this week. We're pleased to be at Shalford House, a beautiful retreat house owned by the diocese in the Staffordshire countryside. It's quite near where you live, isn't it? So
yeah, it's in the parish where my husband is the vicar.
Oh,
so, yeah,
nice.
For a change, I've actually come on my bike, which is very exciting. Wow. I can't walk, but I can cycle. It's a revelation.
And how you've had a bit more of a trek than
it's a lot easier for Zoe today, but a lot harder for me.
Oh, well.
But don't matter.
Which suits me fine.
Very good. Well, we have had a great question from Derek. He tweeted us and he asks, if we are all God's children, what's so special about Jesus? Great question, Derek. I mean, we talk about Jesus as the Son of God, but then we talk about ourselves as children of God. So what is the difference? What makes Jesus special? Dan, why don't you start us on that?
I think sometimes when we talk about Jesus, we either use the term Son of God or we use the term God the Son. And that can lead to some confusion. So when we say the creeds, we say that we believe in God the Son. And what we mean by that is that Jesus is the second member of the Trinity. He's part of the Godhead. But when we talk about God the Son, we talk about God as being a child of God. And since God has created all of us, in some way, we are all kind of children as well. I think, however, when we look at what the word Son of God means in the Scriptures, it doesn't necessarily mean that because he's God's Son, that somehow he is God. But God the Son in the Scriptures tends to be a title. So David, for example, was the Son of God. And sometimes angels can be called God's sons as well. And really, in the Scriptures, it's more of a title that's given to you. So when the New Testament talks about Jesus being the Son of God, that's not the point where we say, that's proof of the Trinity right there. Right. Actually, what it's saying is that Jesus is King.
Right. So actually, there are three different things. There's God the Son, like God the Father and God the Spirit in the Trinity. There's Son of God, which is a title given to particular people, including Jesus. And then there's being children of God, which is a more general term
being
altogether.
Just being a created being of
Okay,
God.
Zoe.
Well, also at that time, there were a lot of people going around claiming to be God's son. And so Jesus using that language was to say, this is what God looks like. I mean, we must remember that we have God revealed who God is, not in a book. And I think sometimes we forget that. It was in a person. And Jesus came and said, this is what God is like. And so using that title was also very relevant to where he was. Because there were a lot of people saying, this is what God's like, and I lord it over you. And actually, we'll maybe talk about these in a bit, but what's so special about Jesus is his humanity rather than his divinity. Because quite often we end up talking about miracles and actually he was doing the radical things and saying, this is what God looks like. God really likes hanging out with all the people that you can't stand. Okay. And all the things that you would really never want to do. This is what God is like.
And that's why he's different to Hercules.
Go on.
Is because...
Which was not actually the question.
But his point, though, is God the Son. Zoe's saying that there's lots of people who said they were sons of God, and they were people like Perseus and Hercules. You know Perseus from Clash of the Titans? Yeah? Quality film.
Or just from ordinary Greek mythology?
No, from Clash of the Titans, because Andromeda's in it. Anyway. And basically all those sorts of other people. But if we think about Perseus from Clash of the Titans, he's a son of God, but he's not. He's half and half, and he's a powerful, strong, I'm going to smash your head off sort of person, right? They were the great heroes like Hercules and all these other guys. And Jesus is the opposite of that. Yeah. And what Jesus says as well, he's not a bit of a God and a bit of a person. He is fully God and fully man. Right. And that's the key difference. So when people say, oh, well, Jesus is just the same as all these other people who said they were sons of God, he's not. He's completely the opposite of everybody else who said that they were the Son of God, because Jesus is the opposite of Clash of the Titans.
And Caesar himself was referred to as the Son of God.
Yeah.
So when Jesus is saying he's the Son of God, he's saying Caesar isn't.
Yeah, it's a political statement as well.
It is a political statement. See, I'm above that. But it is a great irony, isn't it, that the Son of God is also God the Son.
Yes.
I mean, there is that irony there that can't be missed.
And I think, that coming back to Derek's question about what's so special about Jesus, it's that, isn't it? That he is God the Son by right. He has always been God the Son. We say it in one of the creeds, don't we? God of God, true God of true God. Not begotten, but what is it? Not begotten but not made. There we go. Begotten but not made. Always the Son. That's who he is in eternity.
It's hard to get your head around that.
It is hard to get your head around that. But it is a real difference for us, who as Christians are adopted into God's family. We're not God's children by right. We're God's children by adoption because we're included in Jesus. And unlike Jesus, that doesn't mean we become God.
No.
We're human beings, and so there's a very clear distinction there. He's God the Son from all eternity as God, and we're children of God brought into that relationship by adoption.
The other thing as well is you say it in there's a prayer that we say every day in evening prayer, the Magnificat, which is the song of Mary that Mary sings, isn't it, after the angel sees her at the Christmas story. And she finishes it with, now they've mistranslated it a bit, they say, Abraham and his children forever, right? And the Greek says Abraham and his sons forever, but because people are dodgy about that, because they think, oh, well, that's being a bit sexist. But what it's actually doing is the reverse, is what he's saying is that all humans, male or female, are of equal status before God. Is that we are all sons of God. So what he's actually saying is that there's no distinction as far as value goes between any member of the human race. We are all of equal status. So that idea of son of God is actually to do with status, and also we are fellow heirs with Christ. So we share his status. So the love that God the Father has for God the Son, he also has for all of us. And at the end of time, we are caught up into the Trinity, where we live in that place of perfect love and relationship. And that's why we're children of God and sons, because our hope is of that ultimate relationship with each other and with God as well.
Which is why the church is the body of Christ.
That's right, that's right.
And that, having adopted status, it doesn't make us the same as Jesus in that it doesn't make us God, but it gives us those privileges of being a child, of being loved, of being valued and cherished, and being able to talk to our Heavenly Father. And
knowing that stuff, actually, if you think about who you meet and how we deal with each other, if you think you are looking into the face of God, and actually Jesus said that to his followers, when I was hungry, you fed me, when I was a stranger, you welcomed me, when I was naked, you clothed me. And they were like, I don't remember that. Did anybody see him? Well, when you're doing that for each other, and when you're doing that particularly for the people who Caesar wouldn't want to ever go anywhere near, the people who should just be washed away from the, to keep things nice, that's when we're being true to our nature as children of God.
But there is the big point, though, is Mother Teresa says that in the poorest and the weakest that she works with, she sees the face of Christ, because there we have vulnerability at the centre of value, and which is the opposite of Caesar and the worship of power, where God is about being powerful, where Jesus is about vulnerable and seeing the value in the most vulnerable in our society. And that really is the message for all times, but particularly, I think, for today in the West.
Absolutely. And that's why, Zoe, you've brought these along, which are images of Christ.
From around the world, yes. And actually, it ties helpfully with the fact that actually these are all from different native cultures of and they're all of Christ. And some are more recognisable to us. But that reality that all people, particularly marginalised, I particularly love this one, are God at work and God alive through Christ and through the way we live and treat each other.
Brilliant. Good. Well, I hope that's helped answer your question, Derek. It is a bit confusing, the way we use the language there and the way the Bible uses the language in slightly different ways. But I hope you can see what that means, that we can all be children of God, and yet Jesus still has that special, unique status as God the Son.
So thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe on YouTube and Twitter and Facebook and like us at all the various places.
Like us.
Like us.
Because we're really
We're
nice.
quite needy about it.
I find my identity in my life.
Yeah.
I don't get up out of bed until I've had a certain number of likes.
No.